The Red Sox get their 6th win in a row as they beat the LA Angels in extras 6-5 to continue their winning ways. What's up, and welcome to the Locked On Red Sox podcast. Thank you so much for making Locked On Red Sox your first listen of every single day. I am your host, Massachusetts Pirates team insider Jake Ignaszewski. Now, I've been riding solo today. I really miss talking Red Sox with you guys, but in this episode, I'm going to be breaking down everything that happened on Tuesday night's win and looking into Game 3 of this Angels series. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
So even though this was a tally in the win column for the Red Sox, it didn't go exactly how we expected to. It was a nail-biter for majority of this game, and the reason the Red Sox won this game, in my opinion, was due to some great offensive performances and some timely hitting by guys like Christian Vázquez and Trevor Story. And I'll talk a little bit more about that as we get into the episode, but also the bullpen came up really clutch in this one for the Red Sox. And there's a little bit of a struggle for the guy on the bump for Boston, and Garrett Whitlock only was able to go 4 innings, allowing 6 hits, 4 earned runs, and striking out 5. And I'll get a little bit more into this as we get into the episode, but it's really starting to look like Whitlock isn't getting his footing or feeling too comfortable in that starter role. And maybe once Chris Sale comes back, especially since we just got that update on him, maybe he should be moving back to the bullpen. I know that Lauren and I have talked about that left and right, and a lot of people are calling for Whitlock to be back in the bullpen, and I think I'm starting to be one of them. He looked a little bit off. He's looked a little bit off his last few starts. Maybe it's an injury. Some people on Twitter were reporting potentially to his groin. Looked like he was limping a little bit, getting to one of the balls. But really looking at what he did in this starting off in the first, Shohei Ohtani started off the offense for the Angels with hitting a double. Then Mike Trout hit a 2-run home run to put the Angels up 2-0. Then we saw Trout exit with a groin tightness and get replaced by Jo Adell. Then ultimately, we saw Andrew Velazquez reach on a fielder's choice in the second inning to tie the game 3-3. This is specifically for the Angels scoring. And then in the third, we saw Max Stassi smack a ground rule double to right field to score Jo Adell to make the score 4-3. And then Whitlock got taken out for Jake Diekman. Jake Diekman was a little bit wild as he first came in, but he did strike out Shohei Ohtani. But then we saw Jo Adell double to make the lead 5-3. Then offensively for the Red Sox, they put up 3 runs in the second inning. And during that inning, it started off with a Trevor Story double. Alex Verdugo then singled, and then Christian Vázquez walked. And then the scoring started for the Red Sox as Christian Arroyo grounded out to score Trevor Story. Then we saw Bobby Dalbec get in on the action and start off what was a great game for him in him singling to score Alex Verdugo. Then we saw Kiki Hernandez ground into a single to bring in Christian Arroyo to help the Red Sox pile on those 3 runs to start the game. But as I just mentioned, the Angels were able to creep in a little bit from Garrett Whitlock's lack of effective pitching. Then in the 6th, we saw Bobby Dalbec help the Red Sox creep a little bit on that Angel lead, scoring Alex Verdugo. And ultimately in that inning, we also saw Dalbec get a stolen base, showing off that speed, but great game for a guy like Bobby Dalbec who's looking to get his footing back, looking to figure things out and really start to stretch some good games together so he can really start to get some momentum going and really heighten that 187 batting average that he has so far. But overall, was 2 for 5 in this game with 2 RBIs. And as I mentioned, that stolen base In the 7th, we saw Rafael Devers rope a double. Then JD Martinez dropped a little bit of a blooper between the outfielders. It honestly looked like the outfielders were little leaguers and just staring at the ball while it just dropped right in the middle of them. As a fan, I'm like, what the heck is going on? But works for me. Put some runners in scoring position on for the Red Sox. And then we saw Trevor Story singled off. He pretty much hit the ball right back to Ryan Tepera. Tepera wasn't able to field it, hit right off of his leg, and ended up scoring Rafael Devers to tie the ball game at 5-5. And then ultimately in the 10th inning, we saw Christian Vasquez single to drive in Trevor Story, who was that runner on second base. But really nice game for the Red Sox. Great overall win. As I mentioned, you had a lot of guys really come up big. 15 total hits for this Red Sox team. Really clutch in situations when they really needed it. Even though that they did allow 10 runners on base, obviously not ideal, not what you like to see. It's what ultimately led to this game being put into extra innings. But all that matters is the Sox got the win. They continue their winning ways. They continue this momentum going into Game 3 of this Angel series. And if they can sweep, that would be really, really nice. Knock on wood. But hopefully Nathan Eovaldi will get the job done in today's game. But obviously I'm going to talk about that in the second segment. But, looking a little bit more at what didn't go right for Garrett Whitlock, it seemed like he didn't really have great control tonight. Maybe it could have been something wrong with his leg. As I mentioned, a lot of people were pointing to him limping, maybe having a groin issue. Maybe that could be what's been hurting him over, especially the last 5 starts, looking at those which have not looked good for Garrett Whitlock, pitching 22 innings, allowing 26 hits, 12 earned runs, 3 walks, and 12 strikeouts. And really looking at how effective he was as a reliever compared to a starter. As a reliever, he had a .93 ERA, and as a starter so far, it's .415. So definitely not what you like to see with Garrett Whitlock. There is a huge debate, obviously, about putting him back into the bullpen. Could that potentially hurt his development? Could it help him get a little bit more comfortable and get back into the swing of things? But, obviously the last thing that we want is for any sort of change to hurt Garrett Whitlock's development. Have a Daniel Bard situation happen where it hurts his confidence. He doesn't come back the same player. If he does try to start again, do need to remember that this is Whitlock's first attempt at starting in the majors. So he's going to have those growing pains. It's not going to be perfect. And so, even though the Red Sox do have a major need in that bullpen, as much as I would love to see Whitlock back in that bullpen, I'm on the fence about that whole decision. But, the last thing that I would want is for that to hurt his development. If you were to ask me when Chris Sale comes back, if Garrett Whitlock should go into the bullpen or if Rich Hill should go into the bullpen, I'm thinking Rich Hill. But even though he had a great start last time out, but we'll see if Whitlock can really go back to the drawing board, figure out with Dave Bush what has not been going right the last 5 starts. And, it could be an injury. He might need some rest. And if he does, give it to him. We want to see a nice, healthy Garrett Whitlock out on the bump, and hopefully he can get back to form. Before we get into the second segment of the Locked On Red Sox podcast, I just want to take a second to talk to you about BlueNile.com. So whether you're ready to pop the question or celebrating a milestone moment, find jewelry as unique as her with the modern convenience of online shopping at BlueNile.com. Blue Nile has some simple tools that will let you choose the diamond shape, size, and clarity, as well as the setting style. And their bench jewelers will even handcraft her perfect engagement ring. And each ring is one of a kind. So it doesn't matter if you're looking for fine jewelry, like I mentioned, or an engagement piece for your special loved one. Blue Nile has some great fine jewelry selection at BlueNile.com. So make your moments sparkle with jewelry from Blue Nile. And Locked On Sports listeners get $50 off purchases of $500 or more. And this podcast exclusive includes engagements. So use the code Locked On. That's code Locked On plus Every order is insured, shipped free, and arrives in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. So shop stress-free and find your forever piece. Go to BlueNile.com today. And we also have a very important favor to ask you. So we put together a survey so we can learn more about our listeners like you and make your favorite Locked On podcast even better. So this is your opportunity to tell us what you like and what you don't like about the Locked On podcast. So go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey right now to get started. And it won't even take very long. And everyone that completes the survey will qualify for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Ticketmaster gift cards to take our audience survey to lockedonpodcast.com/survey. We really appreciate your help. It's going to be Nathan Eovaldi up against Reid Detmers. And looking at Nathan Eovaldi starting off, he's coming off of a great start against the Oakland A's, pitching 6 innings, only allowing 4 hits, 0 earned runs, walking 1, and striking out 8 batters. And it was really nice to see Eovaldi really bounce back to his dominant form against the Oakland A's, even though, as we all know, the A's are one of the worst franchises and teams right now in the major leagues. Not a great offense whatsoever. So this is sort of what you expected from Eovaldi, but really looking at his few starts before, even though he did, pitch a complete game against the Orioles, did allow 2 earned runs, something that with Nathan Eovaldi, even though he's pitched relatively well so far this season, something that has really hurt him a lot is allowing home runs. And we saw him not allow any runs whatsoever against the A's, and hopefully he can continue that great success against the Angels tonight. And he'll be going up against Reid Detmers, like I mentioned. And Detmers is a guy who actually threw a no-hitter earlier this season against the Tampa Bay Rays, coming into this game with a 4.20 ERA over 9 starts and 45 innings. And he actually pitched against the Red Sox earlier this season on May 4th and didn't do too great. Pitched 4 2/3, allowing 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, and 2 strikeouts. And Detmers, looking at his statistics so far this season, he's a guy who doesn't really strike out a lot of batters. On average, strikes around 3 to 4 guys. And so he mainly gets his outs through fly balls and ground balls. And he's also a guy who doesn't really allow a lot of hits either. Really looking at the averages, it's around 4 to 5 hits every single start. So the Red Sox need to do a good job of being able to be patient at the plate, force walks. He is a guy who walks 2 to 3 batters, it seems like, every single outing that he is out there on the mound. So if the Red Sox are patient, they're able to get ducks in the pond, whether it's through hits, whether it's through walks, and they're able to find ways to get runs in. They could have a really nice repeat performance against Detmers. Like I mentioned, scored 3 runs on him last time out on May 4th. So Detmers is coming off of a start against the New York Yankees, pitched 4 1/3, allowing 5 hits, not allowing any runs, walking 3 and striking out 4. So the Red Sox will look to continue their success against Detmers, not allow his good start to really deter them from, putting up some runs against him. Hopefully they can sort of repeat what we saw them do on Tuesday night. The offense was rolling on Tuesday night. It was really nice to see. So hopefully they can continue that success, and the Madden-less Angels, won't be able to continue their success. So, also the last time Nathan Eovaldi pitched against the Angels, didn't really go too great. This was last season on July 6th. He allowed 5 earned runs over 9 hits, did strike out 9. But as I mentioned, over 5 2/3 innings, did allow 5 earned runs in LA. So not the same Angels lineup, obviously. Does have the 2 same heavy hitters of Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani. Will be interested to see if Mike Trout is back in the lineup on Wednesday night, seeing that he did leave on Tuesday. But, with the success that we've seen Eovaldi having over his last few starts, obviously, I don't see him allowing 5 earned runs like he did last season, but it was just interesting for me to look at sort of his past against this Angels team. Different year, hopefully a different outcome for Nathan Eovaldi on the bump. But, the Sox will look to obviously get a win in this game too, off of a great Nathan Eovaldi start. As I mentioned, the keys to be able to get past Detmers, just got to be patient at the plate, force some walks, allow him to get his pitch count up. And, he's not going to allow a ton of hits. So they really need to find ways to get on base. But it's been nice to see this Red Sox offense really staying fluid ever since the start of May and continuing to get guys on base and doing a little bit better of scoring with runners in scoring position. Obviously, we saw that was a huge issue for them at the start of the season, but it's going to be really crucial for them to be able to do those specific things. One thing that I'm really curious to see how the Red Sox really maneuver around this issue in Game 2 is their limited bullpen. We saw, especially with such a short start by Garrett Whitlock on Tuesday night, only going 4 innings, we saw Jake Diekman, Sawamura, Austin Davis, and also Tanner Houck on the bump for the Sox. So I'm curious to see sort of, if this limits how many guys come out on Wednesday night, if we could potentially see Nathan Eovaldi go a little bit deeper in the game. We do know that he can obviously go deep in the game. 6 to 7 innings is usually his average, but he did throw that complete game against the Baltimore Orioles. But that's definitely going to be something to watch, especially with such a short start by Garrett Whitlock on Tuesday. The Sox aren't going to be able to tire out their arms and their bullpen continuously. And so we could see obviously a few different guys out of that pen for the Sox, but they're not going to have as many arms as available as they did on Tuesday. So that could potentially hurt them, but it's going to be very interesting to see how they really go about that situation. But before we end this episode of the Locked On Red Sox podcast, I just want to take a second to talk to you about our next partner, which is Athletic Greens. So this is a product that I literally use every single day. And it's honestly because I have some stomach issues waking up. There's sometimes where I don't have a great appetite. And Athletic Greens is a great way for me not only to optimize my immune system, but better my gut health. And really all it is this small scoop of this green powder that you put into this 8-ounce cup of water, and you just drink it right before you eat anything in the morning. And it honestly tastes really good. It has like this peachy sort of tropical taste. And it's pretty crazy because just with that little scoop, you're absorbing 75 high quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and antigens. And this will help you start your day right. And this is a special blend of ingredients that supports, as I mentioned, your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, energy, recovery, and focus. And it's cheaper than getting all the supplements yourself, just individually. So right now, it's your time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. Just one scoop in a cup of water every single day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. So to make it easy for you, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. And all you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/MLB network. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/MLB network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. And I also want to take a second to talk to you about BetOnline. So BetOnline is your number one source for all your betting stats and sports info. So find all the latest sports developments, news, and odds, including this year's basketball championship matchup, the NHL Hockey Conference Finals, Major League Baseball, and of course, all the latest fighting news from MMA and UFC to boxing. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, including live betting, esports, and more. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts. So as always, we greatly appreciate everybody tuning in to Locked On Red Sox podcast Monday through Friday. I miss talking about this team so much. I really appreciate everybody and their constant support, and let's continue to see this Red Sox team succeeding. I really love to see how this team has really turned things around, not only in the month of May, but now that we're seeing it in June, it's just continuing. It's really nice to see. But really appreciate everybody tuning in today. If you have not yet, make sure to follow us on Twitter. It's LO_Red Sox. Also follow myself on Twitter. It's at Jake Iggy, as well as my co-host Lauren. It's Lauren with 4 R's. And as always, thank you so much for making Locked On Red Sox podcast your first listen of every single day. Now go out and make your second listen Locked On MLB podcast. MLB expert Paul Francis Sullivan brings you humor, passion, and his unique perspective on every team and the biggest stories around the league. So follow the #1 daily league-wide podcast, Locked On MLB. It's on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. But hope everybody has a great rest of their day, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. And we'll end it how we always end it. Let's go Sox. Peace.